All right, thank you very much. Also joining us here today, he makes a return to the studio, Joshua Moses, who will be joining us today on City Press.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning,
Good
everybody.
morning, Joshua.
Welcome.
Morning.
Hope your week has been great so far.
Yeah, it has. It has. Busy, but we're good.
All right, nice. Let's dive into the meat of the action here today, and let's start with this report here from the World Bank and a headline. Yesterday, earlier midday, it says that 139 million Nigerians now in poverty despite reform gains, and the World Bank has expressed concerns about the situation in Nigeria despite the recent economic stabilization efforts. That 139 million citizens are now living in poverty, warning that the country risks losing reform gains if they fail to translate this into tangible improvements into people's welfare. Now, after this one was done, hours later, headline here, the lead headline on the Punch says that Presidency rejects World Bank's poverty report. The Presidency has disputed the latest economic report from the World Bank that says 139 million Nigerians are living in poverty, describing it as unrealistic and detached from the country's economic realities. President Bola Tinubu's special advisor on media and communications put this yesterday on saying that the poverty figures must be properly contextualized within the limits of global poverty measurement models. Later on, also in that report, the World Bank would also go on to dismiss Nigeria's single-digit inflation target for the year, saying it is not realistic at this point. But let's start with the poverty figures from the World Bank and their indices. How they arrived at this, saying that 139 million citizens are living in poverty. Are these numbers too inflated, or is it within the macro? Does it show the reality of Nigeria now that we are living in?
Well, I don't have access to 139 million Nigerians to be able to ascertain. But from what I can see around me, the World Bank is right. We're still living in serious poverty. And this is to say, does Nigeria even have a middle class? Whoever it is that's working currently and thinks, I'm earning a very good salary, let us be very honest with ourselves. Can your salary carry you till the next month? Now, many people, in fact, it was with this advent of poverty, we've started hearing side hustle. You can be a whole lot more. You can be gainfully employed, but if you don't have side hustle, there's a problem. And sometimes even inside your side hustle, you have another side hustle. So if we have to do all this, does it show that we have overcome poverty? And there's this song that's trending on TikTok that said, "Any pit where they dig for me, jump and pass." That's what the federal government is doing. The World Bank has dug a pit that they don't like. They want to jump and pass it. But when they tell them, remove subsidy, increase taxation, do this so that you can do that, in fact, put more burden on the people, they quickly jump. Now they've told them, now, God, what you're doing is not working. They start complaining. Now the World Bank is saying that I think Nigerians are still living below $2 or something, purchasing power parity, which means that Nigerians don't have enough money to purchase anything. Now the minister's counter argument is that we've increased minimum wage to 70,000, and if we add up everything, the per day indices of the World Bank, it will amount to over maybe about 100,000, which he said the Nigerians are currently earning. Now the counter argument is, what can 100k buy in the market? For a family of 5, you have to feed, you have to pay school fees, you have to pay for, if you're in band A, I pity you. Gas price has also shot up within the last weeks of Bengasin issues. So if you have to fill gas within this 100k, how much are you using to fill that gas? So maybe he's looking at it from the lens of them being the upper echelon, the political class. And I feel like that's part of the problems we have. And then when he went further to list the reasons why he thinks that we are on a good track, he said that the government has distributed 260 something billion naira since 2003 to about 90 something, I can't remember how many millions of people. Now those numbers are also in dispute. A lawyer has gone to court to say, okay, give us a list of the Nigerians that collected, I don't know if it's 50k or 100k a month that amounted to this 200 and something billion naira. Nobody is giving us data, because we all hear that Nigerians are collecting money, but I have not seen anybody that has received this money. It's the same way the agricultural grants and loans were shared by CBN and some banks, and when those things were going on, they said, they were helping farmers. And then it turns out that we can't account for most of the monies. Family, cronies, and friends took away these monies. So why are you basing social intervention as one of the means of saying that we are getting out of poverty? You're basically giving free money that people didn't work for, that is not doing anything to galvanize the economy, and using that as a base to say that the economy is getting better. So if you share 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, I think the last one the former administration did was conditional cash transfer, that they gave 20,000 naira to market women. Which market women with 20,000 naira stock her shop if she was a petty trader? Now, according to the statistics, about 6 million Nigerians are employed in the formal sector, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. And another 76 million Nigerians are now in the informal sector. These are the people who have shops, who have small businesses and all that. What is the average income of a small business? If you look at the national tax bill, one of the reasons they claim they are revising the tax bill is because Nigerians are not making enough. And there are a lot of people, if they put them in the net, they will tax them to death. The question is, those that won't be taxed to death, how many are they? How many big companies do we have? How many? I think Smidan came out to say, as a company, if you're not doing 1 billion naira in revenue annually, you're a small business. So how many businesses do we know in Nigeria currently that does 1 billion? Because those are the people we now remove from small business. So if you make 900 million in a year as a business, you're still a small business. In that whole thing, you will pay taxes, you pay salaries, you do a whole lot of things. So you're not even profitable to the tune of maybe 100 to 200 million. And in that whole sector, you have less than how many Nigerians? 70 something million, or maybe 6 million Nigerians within this category we are talking about. And World Bank is saying 139 million.
Yes.
So look at the numbers.
So the thing is this now, if the governments are claiming, that what the World Bank are putting out there is detached from the realities of Nigerians, and everyone who has been in the country for the past 2-3 years would realize that in recent times, we have actually been used to having more people beg us on the road a whole lot more. On a daily basis, more people are sending you messages saying that they need money, they need help, they need to feed, this and that. It's happening more often than it was in the past 4-5 years. These are the things we're seeing. Now, the presidency are disputing this, what the World Bank is saying. What data are they showing us that, okay, what the World Bank is saying is not true? What is their counter data that they are giving to us to prove it, rather than saying that they shared money to people? To the people? I think the burden of proof also lies with them. Show us that people are not that poor.
They've showed you their proof.
No, you've only said we gave money to so amount. Because if I remember in 2020, I remember there was a relief fund that was done. People were told to sign forms and all of that. How many people received that money?
Did you receive it?
How many people received form? I signed the form. How many people I know people that signed the form, they never got anything. Even during the palliative era, they said food. It was during NSAS we saw things stocked in warehouses that were rotting and all of that. So when the government says we've distributed this, tangible, we want to see it.
So I think we have to understand what we are dealing with. We are dealing with a government. They have a love-hate relationship with these international monetary organizations, IMF, World Bank, because these are I think Tinubu is asking to borrow another money.
$2 billion.
So
dollars.
They have this relationship. And this statement is more like trying to manage the relationships on one hand, so Nigerians don't think, just collecting money for free. And we know that there's a lot of rankings and all the indices that the World Bank and IMF uses to say, okay, you are eligible to get this amount of money, you're not eligible. Now, the fact is, they are very quick, like I said earlier, to say, okay, let's take out subsidy. And I've always maintained that subsidy was never the problem. The problem with subsidy was the corruption in subsidy. And then because the Nigerian mentality of, instead of us to address the fundamental issue, let us scatter it for everybody. Is where, because if you say less than 50 people, or let me say, give or take 100 people are involved in this whole importation racketeering, so you cannot prosecute 100 people that fraudulently collected money and recover those money, then your solution to it is to scrap the little palliative that Nigerians were getting, because this was the one thing that was getting down to the smallest Nigerian, And then on the flip side, and the reason you did that was because the World Bank is saying, let's remove subsidy. Meanwhile, Buhari and co were printing money. that led to this whole inflation. So you didn't tackle the things you were supposed to tackle. The electioneering period, you see the way monies that you didn't know we had in this country will start flowing. So when people are coming out with this, we just know that they are grandstanding for their masters, who are the people who give them these loans. Yesterday, which day the minister was on national TV, the Minister of Works was on national TV, and he was asked, how much does it cost per kilometer to fix the coastal road? And he turned quarrel. Why is it turning? Let's assume you don't even, before you started that project, there was an estimate that you used to fund that present whatever, even though I don't know it's part of the budget, it didn't go through any public the BPP procedure. You have that estimate. You have also started work. You've done some sections of that road. How much did it cost to do that? Let us use that estimate. This money is our money. But it costs quarrel, because how can you be asking me that? Who are you to be asking me that? They don't want a situation where anybody questions any data. Now the World Bank brings his own question. They say, no, you are wrong. How is it that every other person is wrong?
Submission from the World Bank before that, the reforms are doing well, they are showing signs. So you can accept that but reject this.
So when the report favors the angle they want. Now let's get something clear. The exchange rate, which is one of the things they are priding themselves on, it is stable. But it has not crossed down to even 1,000 naira. We are still dealing with 1,400 to 1,500, which is pretty high. If you're doing any of these businesses, you understand how difficult it is. Good for the stability, but there are other economic indices. How easy is it to register a business in Nigeria? How easy is it for you to get tax rebate? I've never heard anybody that pay taxes and they say they give them rebates. These are the little, to attract investment in this country is also difficult. I read a report that there's some foreign investors complaining about repatriating their profits out of the country still being a problem. So let us be very open-minded, even as a government that they are, because if you accept that there's a problem, it means that we can sit down to look for a solution. But the moment you close your eye like the ostrich that buries his head in the sand and say, no, there's no problem, it means that this whole poverty thing, we're not solving it anytime soon. It means that more people will fall through the cracks. And even then, the upper echelon, before they know them too. I heard a story of somebody who was a political mover and shaker, House of Reps member, that cannot fuel his cars now. That doesn't have enough to even feed. Because no political patronage. A lot of them are still there because of political patronage. If they go and run their businesses by themselves, leave politics, they will enter this 139 million.
Right. You can be a part of the conversation by calling 070010511051 or drop a message on WhatsApp right now, 0909-916-14403. You can join us on YouTube, on Facebook, on X at City1051 FM. Hello.
Thank you for watching. You know what to do. Like, share and subscribe.